Have to kind of bend it a little bit to clear this top piece. Again, since it's plastic, never fails, the flashlight's gonna die. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a fantastic day as always. Back out in the garage today, but this time we're working on the 2020 Jeep Grand Cherokee, my wife's vehicle. Needs some maintenance and some work and some TLC done to it. So we're doing the engine air filter and the cabin air filter along with an oil change. So I'm not going to do the oil change today, but I will include it in this video if you want to follow along and keep up with that one too. So just some basic maintenance in case you're curious how to do this yourself. It's going to be super easy, won't take that long at all. I've been neglecting this vehicle. I've been working on mine if you followed any of the other videos. So it's time to get this one up to snuff and back to where it needs to be. So we're putting some Fram titanium filters in here today. I want to do a cold air intake kit on this Jeep. It's just the 3.6 liter Jeep, but I like upgrading all of our vehicles, but my wife does not want me to touch her vehicle. So for right now, until I can convince her otherwise, we're just going to put some good premium filters in here, nothing crazy. I didn't want to go K&N because I don't want to have to keep them old and all that. So we're just going to do some easy replacement filters, show you how it's done, and shouldn't take long at all. So follow along with the video if you want to. Consider subscribing if you want to see more stuff like this. We do all kinds of stuff on the channel. Vacation, hobbies, upgrades, mods, racing, all kinds of travel stuff. And so, yeah, leave a thumbs up if you found the video helpful. If you got any comments whatsoever, please leave them down below. I try to answer everything for you guys if I can. And so let's get to it. So again, here is our engine air filter. So Fram titanium, nothing crazy, nothing super expensive. I think it was about $30–40 or so. And then the Fram titanium N95. We're gonna kill some bacteria and viruses and stuff with this one for the cabin air filter. It's filthy. I'll show you both of them. I needed to change them a long time ago, so we're gonna do that right now and get it back up to where it needs to be. First things first, we got to obviously get under the hood. You can see the Sport Performance air extractor or heat extractor hood we put on this thing. I did a video on that too if you're interested about it from the power line incident. And so we're still enjoying that and glad we went that route. But we got to pop the hood. Here is our air intake box over here on the side. You can see just how dusty everything is, so I'm sure this is a mess too. It would be nice to redo with a cold air intake and all of that good stuff, but we won't worry about that right now. So we got to get some latches taken apart. You can see, let me get a light. So we got to get these latches opened up here on the side. Ignore this piece here. This is the hood pin that tells the car if the hood is open or cracked open if you've pulled it. This is supposed to mount right here, but when we hit the power line or the power line hit us, this all got damaged, and with the new hood it didn't touch correctly, so it was tricking the vehicle to think that the hood was open, and instead of getting a new one or adjusting it or whatever, I simply just wedged it in here. I know that's not the correct way to do it, but I wedged it in there to keep it shut, and you can see I've got it zip tied and everything, and to keep it shut so it knows that the hood's closed, and because it'll trip the auto start stop mechanism in the vehicle. But anyway, that part aside, let's get this open and we'll deal with the rest of it. So we've got our two latches released on this side. I'm going to take the vacuum and get some of this dust off. And then there's a catch on the back side here, and on this side you can't really see it underneath it. And then this whole thing will just rotate out of the way, and then you can grab your air filter and pull it right out. And then you can see how much dirt and bugs and everything is in this. So now we've got our new one to replace it. Here's our new one out in the box. It's not quite as tall, not much difference, and it should be square. It looks square. Yeah, so it can't go but one way. You can see that it's actually wider this way than it is this way. So make sure you get it in right and it sits down the way it's supposed to. So we'll lift the cover back up, pop it in, and that part will be done. There's a new one set down in there. Again, it can't go but one way in this vehicle, so you can't really get it wrong. And then you can see those clips back in the back that the cover has to set back down into. And then it's got this little thing on the side here that it's got to go back, and then we'll snap it down and we'll be done with this step. So we've got these clips underneath the piece in the back to make sure they go in first, and then everything sits back down, and then you just snap the clip shut and we're done with this. And now we're moving to the cabin air filter. So good to go. Here's a look at the cabin air filter from inside the engine bay. So again, if you look through here and then look through this area right here, it seals off around the hood, and you can see down in there where it sucks the air in. I actually thought you changed it from in here, but then looking again, you've got to get to it from behind the glove compartment, which isn't a big deal, but looking at it, it seems like it would just drop right in from here and be super easy, but that's not the case. So let's take a look inside and get it out from in there. Here's a look inside with the glove compartment open. There's a little piece that holds it from falling down, and there's some latches on the side. So we've got to take this piece out here on the side, and then we just have to push in on the sides, and then this thing will drop down and we should be able to access the air filter. So here's the little cable that holds this in here, and then you can see right in here there's a tab that we have to push in to release. And then over here on this side, there's another tab right here that we've got to push in. So there's that one out of the way. It's just got a little piece on the back that clips in. And then we're going to squeeze these two tabs in and hopefully get this thing out. There's one. And there's two. Little bit of force, and then the whole thing will fall off just like that. And now we can get to the air filter. You have to be a little bit of a contortionist to get up under the dash, but once this is off, and you can see the hinges down here that it was holding on, here's the door. So there's just a little push, and there it is right there. So here's a look at the door panel. You have to pull on this piece here to unlatch it. And then over here is the hinge part that sets in there. But there's another piece right here on the top that clips up here on this piece that you have to pull a little bit forcefully and it'll pop out. And now we can pull the air filter right out. If you can't get a good grip on it or can't pull it out, you can always go back in the engine bay and push it, because you can reach it from in there and just push it and get it started. Then you can pull the thing out. You have to kind of bend it a little bit to clear this top piece. Or you can throw everything into the floor like I just did, but you can bend it a little bit to clear that top piece. And then there we are. There's our air filter. So here's our stock one that we left in way too long. You can see just how dusty and dirty and nasty it is. It's been in there for quite a while. It's just the regular old Mopar one from the factory. And we've got this Fram titanium one N95, so we can kill some stuff and keep out the viruses and stuff, and nice blue color. And so now we just got to slide it back in, and we'll have this part of the project done too. And there's our new one slid back in. Make sure you pay attention to the airflow arrows, which way the air comes in and which way it's supposed to be directed. And it slid right in with no problem. Now we just got to get this door back on. Make sure you start with the hinge side first. Then snap it back in and close it up. Then we'll put our glove box door back on and we'll be done. This is not too bad to do, but what you need to do is make sure you pull on this and get you some slack. It'd be nice if I had it in the frame. Pull on this piece here to get the slack out so you can get this back in. Otherwise, if you snap it in, you can't get to this, then you have to take it back apart again. So pull on that, get it out the way, snap it back in, and then put this piece back in. Then you're good to go. And here's the final look down from the engine bay again. Looking from here back in, you can see the new blue one that we have in there. Everything went back together good, and we're done with this part. All right, now that we've got the engine air filter swapped out, the cabin air filter swapped out, now we've got to do an oil change on it, and that shouldn't be difficult at all. I've done it on this vehicle quite a few times already. we do stick to the recommended 10,000 mile interval with the light that's on there with the reset button and everything. I've heard some mixed comments and reviews about doing that, especially with the oil filter itself. You ought to change it more often. But I will admit we stick to the 10,000 mile interval. Now, that being said, we go with Mobil 1 on all of our vehicles here. This particular one takes 0W20. Obviously, check your specs and all that. But this, I always go with the 20,000 mile protection. So changing it every 10,000 miles, I feel like we're doing pretty good with this extended performance stuff. So, and of course, Mobil 1 oil filter as well. So let's get it taken apart and get it changed. We've got our standard oil catch pan here. This one holds 16 quarts, so you might could do 2 oil changes. On some vehicles, this particular Jeep is 6 quarts of oil, so you could definitely do 2 before you'd have to empty it. And we just take it to Advanced Auto here in town, dump it out. If you've never done this before, you obviously want to make sure that you've got your vent open on here, because depending on the vehicle, you can fill up this tray before it'll vent and actually overflow this everywhere. So make sure you got your cap on good, store your cover there, and then make sure your vent's open before you get it all under the car and ready to go. Again, we're doing this on our 2020 Jeep Grand Cherokee, so you have to pop this cover open. Everything's a mess. And there's a bit right here. I think it's a 10mm bolt or Torx bit that you can do. And so let's get that. We've got to take that one off, and then this whole cover will just pop straight open. So it was a 10mm bolt on this particular one, just the one there, and I think you can just pull. There we go. Break it loose, and it's got some little pins, there we go, in the back that hold it on. So there you go, one right here, one in the back there, one up front, and one right there. And you can see on the back side little rubber grommets where they snap in, and then this whole piece will lift straight off. Now, of course, you'd want to check your owner's manual and everything to verify recommended oil and how many quarts that you need, but you can find it on most newer cars right here on the cap as well, where you fill it back up. Again, we're doing 0W20. Now I go ahead and get my oil pan in place, everything ready to go. I got some extra rags just in case it decides to leak everywhere, run down my arm. This oil drain plug you can see right there is a 7/16, and so I've got my socket ready. And I'll go ahead and break it loose with the socket, and then go ahead and take it out with my hand. All right, so I misspoke. It's a 1/2 inch, not a 7/16. I don't know where I got that from, but I got it loose, and now we'll just, you could probably wear some gloves and keep things a lot cleaner than I am right now. And then we'll just undo it with our hand, and then quickly drop it out. And obviously make sure you got your oil catch pan down here centered up, where the flow will actually go in it, and then when it stops and gets a lot slacker, it won't drip all down the sides and everything. And we'll just wait for that to finish dripping. So while that's dripping underneath and draining out, I like to crack this fill tube here at the top just to give it a little bit extra, that it can drain easier without the pressure on it. And then there's where our oil filter is. So it's kind of a different design with these Jeeps. It's a plastic housing, so you have to be careful not to crack this or over torque it or tighten it, or you're gonna probably have a mess on your hands. And so it's a 15/16 socket to get on the top, and with an extension on there, it'll fit right down on the top, and you can take it loose and knock the light in your face. There you go. So yeah, and you can loosen it up and then take the whole thing apart. So we'll show you what that looks like when we get it out. All right, so now that this is almost completely quit dripping, we've got our bolt out, cleaned up. Another note, I put this up on the race ramps just to get a little bit of extra clearance so we can get under here easily without having to squeeze or jack this thing up, worry about jack stands and all that mess. So I just roll it up on the race ramps. I can scoot right under here and deal with it pretty easily. So we're going to put this bolt back in, snug it up nice and tight. I wouldn't over tighten it. And definitely don't cross thread it, or you're going to have yourself a mess there on the next go around if you get it or ring it all the way in there. So we're going to put that in there and then go finish with the oil filter, and we'll be good to go. Okay, see, we've got our oil filter loose now. I just unloosened it, or loosened it with the socket set, and then hand loosened it the rest of the way, and now you can pull it straight up. It might stick a little bit because of the gasket on the bottom, and then try not to drip it everywhere. And then we'll take it right here to our oil drain pan. So it's got a little gasket right on the end. I'll show you on the new one. And then we have to replace this gasket on the cover here that comes in the kit, and this just pops right out of the housing here. So you just take this filter, pull it straight out, and there you go. It just clips right in the top of this cap, and then there you go. So what I usually do is just take a little flathead screwdriver or something, and without tearing up the housing, just kind of put it right underneath that gasket, and you can pry it. If I can get it in there, you can pry it loose, just like that. And then, so here's our new oil filter. It's got a new gasket already on it, and it just pops right in. You hear it click, and then here's the other new O-ring gasket that goes here, so you can thread that on. And then we need to put a little bit of oil on it, so what I usually do is get it on here like that, make sure it's set down in that groove, and then I'll take some of this used oil from our pan over here and just make sure it's lubricated good before we put it back together. So once you got the O-ring kind of lubricated again, it just slides right back down in there. Again, with everything, goes without saying, make sure it's not cross-threaded, and just hand tighten it until it starts snugging up. And then you can see the O-ring, and you can take your socket set and tighten this back up until it seats down. Again, since it's plastic, never fails, the flashlight's gonna die. Since it's plastic, you don't want to over tighten it. So again, now that I got my other light, you just want to tighten this up slow till you see that O-ring disappear, and then that lid come in contact with the canister down there, and snug it up. You definitely don't want to over tighten this and crack the housing. Again, on this particular vehicle, it only takes 6 quarts of oil. So we've got our 5 quarts and 1 extra one here. We've got our funnel ready to go. So we're just going to fill it up with the 6 quarts, crank it up, and let it circulate and fill up that oil filter and everything. And then we'll check our oil level one more time in the end to make sure it's in the safe zone. And that should be the end of this process. All right, so once everything's said and done, we've got to get back in here in the menu on the car, get to the settings and the oil life, and then you just hit OK on the thing, and it's supposed to reset it. We're back to 100. We had a little bit of mileage left on this oil change from the last one, but we're going out of town on a trip, and I wanted to get everything done and upgraded before maintenance done before we went on the road, and so check that box, and we're finished with that as well. And that's it, guys. It was kind of super simple, just a real quick basic video to show you just how easy it is to change those 3 things: your engine filter, air filter, your cabin air filter, and a quick oil change. So again, we needed to do some maintenance on it. I thought it'd be a good time to shoot a quick video, show you just how easy it is. You can save yourself some money from going to the dealership or a service garage or whatever to get those things changed. And you really can do it yourself in a matter of minutes. Not bad at all. So hope you found it interesting or enlightening at all. If you did, give it a thumbs up. I appreciate it. Consider subscribing. We do maintenance videos, upgrade videos, travel, hobbies, all kinds of stuff on the channel. You might find something else you're interested in following along with. If you've got any questions or comments, please leave them below. I try to answer everything for everybody. Appreciate you hanging out with us while we're working on the Jeep, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks.